an important part of my role is keeping the Labor Party on a pro-growth trajectory. We are the party of economic growth and always should be. There are also other issues facing the nation over and above economic growth, and this is the issue of jobless economic growth, the issue of the disconnect between improving productivity and employment growth, which we're seeing for the first time. The last thing we should do is embrace a Luddite, protectionist, anti-immigration approach. We should embrace innovation. Innovation should be at the core of our economic policy. Research and development should be at the core of our economic policy. This innovation, these changes are going to happen. We have a choice in Australia. Do we participate and be leaders of the debate, leaders of this innovation, or do we pretend it's not happening and as a result have the dregs of the world economy? Well, I would have thought the decision is pretty easy. We need to resist what I would call innovation mercantilism, which is simply trying to nab innovation which might be happening in other countries and try and make it a little bit more attractive to happen here. I think we need to make innovation the core of our economics and education policy. We need to be training more people in the STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, maths. That's a given. We need to be encouraging an education system which not only teaches the skills of science, technology, engineering, maths, but which teaches an adaptive workplace culture. The skills and the mindset which produces graduates of our economic education system which is adaptive, which can respond to this fast changing world. And if we're not training and producing graduates of our education system, primary, secondary and tertiary, who are adaptive, then we won't be winning the global race when it comes to innovation and education. We also need to be ensuring that every single child we produce is trained to their maximum capacity. I believe it's fundamentally wrong in 2014 that the wealth of your parents still has a greater impact on your educational outcome in Australia than it does for the average OECD nation. That's an affront to my sense of social justice. But even if it wasn't, I would think it was remarkably stupid policy, because it means we are missing out on the talents as a nation which we can't afford to miss out on. There are children who are being produced from our educational system who are not being trained to the maximum of their potential. If we could ever afford that as a nation, it's arguable that we could never have afforded it, but if we ever could have afforded it, we certainly can't afford it now. So it's a matter of economic policy to me that we need a fairer education funding model. I'm not suggesting to you that it's the panacea. As a former tertiary education minister, I believe that there are further reforms necessary when it comes to teacher training and teacher quality. I fully accept and embrace those arguments. I've said and written things about educational policy before which go to the potential for autonomy in schools. I believe they're all legitimate things for a national discussion. But we cannot pretend that education funding isn't at the core of that argument. That there are schools in my electorate, schools that I visit in rural and regional Australia, who are under-resourced. That is an empirical fact, and we should not abide by it. So this is a matter of key economic policy for me going forward. But also, I think, something which is, if it's not tackled in terms of economic policy, will be a massive missed opportunity for our nation.